Dear colleagues, I'm glad to see you today. My name is Елизавета. My report, as you can see, is dedicated to the phenomenon of historical medieval battles, HMB. It is a kind of sport practice emerged in a context of medieval historical reenactment movement. HMB has been emerging since early 2000s, and it is mostly developed in the area of former Soviet Union and Warsaw Pact. HMB is also popular in Western countries, Latin America, China, Australia, and New Zealand. My own field research has been ongoing since 2017. In 2018, I was taking part in organizing HMB World Championship Battle of the Nations in Italy. The key feature of my material is that the audience doesn't always fully understand what I'm talking about, so we will start by watching two videos to make everything clear. I have a special request. Please write questions in the chat during the presentation so I can give more complete answers. So, let's start. And the next one. So, what is HMB? Historical medieval battles are full contact sport fighting where fighters use full-bodied but unsharpened replicas of medieval weapons. All HMB equipment is made and adapted special for this type of competition. Today there are crowded tournaments, judgment and rating system, craft workshops, and various nominations like duels, team fighting, and mass battles. What is special for HMB unlike other medieval reenactment practices? Actually, there is an accent on hard sport training and just another goal in general. A declared goal in classical medieval reenactment is authenticity of material objects. The term authenticity for reenactors, living history practitioners, means historical accuracy of material things or intangible heritage reproduction. How things really were. Your contemporary replicas must be isomorphic with the historical original. A declared goal in HMB is sport competition. And the sport is full of innovations and experiments. Many armor details are made from titanium. Hidden protective gear is used. Trust is cancelled. HMB fighting style is totally about slashing and crushing damage and wrestling. It is not authentic for living history Puritans. HMB is created by reenactors, and in this social sense, it is a practice inside reenactors' community. But essentially, it is not a historical reenactment in its literal sense. First, we have to outline the endemic group of medieval movement in Russia. Initially, it was a kind of post-socialist middle class, educated professionals and students with the same cultural background, similar life scenario, and the same set of movies, books, and music. For them, always important were some blocks of popular culture associated with adventure fiction like fantasy, sci-fi, history, active tourism, and other post-materialistic values. Members of medievalist practices are mostly people from this social group and their children. In many interviews, I have heard that this set of interests was already formed in teenage within the family. before the medievalistic movement participation, and that sword fighting is self-evidently appropriate, exciting practice. It is common sense, it is out of the question. These people already have had this intention. They were subconsciously looking for a certain type of identity and lifestyle. One day, I was watching a podcast from a well-known HMB blogger. He and his guest were discussing a relationship system between HMB, living history, LARP community, and other similar groups in Russia. One moment, his guest said, "In our whole medieval movement." I think it was a spontaneous but apt definition of the situation inside this community. All these people with different self-identification make strong bonds with each other, using medievalism as a base for this connection. Social links between HMB participants, LARPers, and medieval reenactors are stronger than between medieval and, for example, Napoleonic reenactors. The epoch matters. It influences social conditions of a specific reenactors group. It attracts different types of people. Medieval aesthetics is more important than type of practice. People choose a certain aesthetics and epoch because it is also an appropriate technical frame, a corridor of opportunities to do exactly what is needed. The black powder epochs don't fit for full contact sport competition, so they attract audience of different age and intentions. Social world of medieval reenactment is full of narrative from fantasy fiction and cinema, video games, and all medievalistic milieu of popular culture. A craving for medievalism is a strong personal motivation to join any medievalistic group. From 2010 to 2019, before COVID, the Battle of the Nations World Cup was held in Europe. The last one was in Serbia. There were about 40 national teams and 1,000 fighters there. Following the COVID pandemic and military action in Ukraine, global international projects were frozen. Currently, due to obvious political tensions, each organizing team is organizing its own events in Europe, USA, or Russia, which are not up to pre-COVID standards. So, when you spend years of your life for reenactment as hobby, you have various paths of professionalization. For example, commemoration and educational activities, experimental archaeology and other academical studies, leisure events organizing, not for reenactors only, and what we can see in HMB, new sports framing. In fact, we are dealing with a consistent exploitation of sport as an institutional framework within which it is easier to achieve cultural legitimation of HMB and reenactment, as well as to gain social recognition from the general public and external stakeholders such as mass media or official recognition from government agencies. Like any evolving sporting practice, HMB mimics the organizational patterns of established modernistic sport, like standardization of rules and equipment or fencing classes for children. In turn, within the reenactment discourse, this sport, not reenactment positioning, is very important in the context of constant holy wars around the concept of authenticity. When we are talking or reading about the reenactment movement in general, there is a set of topics typical for reenactment studies publications: authenticity, national historical memory, and trauma. The last two are especially relevant for reenactments of the 19th and 20th centuries, like the American Civil War or the Second World War. But in a sphere of medieval reenactment, we are dealing with different context. Medieval past is not really traumatic for modern societies. There is no recent family memory about victims, and no obvious connection between a reenactor and a knight. So, in most cases, the Middle Ages are not about cultural or historical politics. They are just a manual for leisure and adventure. Medieval reenactment is a blind spot between reenactment studies and medievalism studies. It is not about commemoration, and it is too narrow for research on Middle Ages in popular culture. So I suggest analyzing medieval reenactment and HMB as a form of new social movement with its own emerging lifestyle sports. As many new social movements after the Second World War, reenactment and HMB are not about actual politics and direct political ideologies, but about leisure, lifestyle, and self identity. Uh, it is a solidarity of taste and aesthetics with post material values like sport, tourism, community, self realization, and consumerism. All armor's production technologies are developed by enthusiasts who themselves use them. HMB as international community exhibits intense communication and truly enduring system of relationships. Amid political crisis, even if people in different countries hate each other, they continue to be on the same social networks and follow each other's achievements. If we talk about influential mobilization processes and other social actions, at first, big crowded events like festivals and tournaments, organizing which requires a high density of social links. And second thing, it's everyday routines, normal work or micro-mobilization like daily sport training, personal conversations, and public discussions on social media, creating folklore, every kind of offline meetings like birthday parties. Finally, the last part of my presentation is about HMB and lifestyle sports. Lifestyle sports is a conception of Belinda Witten. She talks about new types of sports which have their roots in the countercultural movements of the late 20th century. Notable examples include skateboarding, rock climbing, and surfing, which have achieved Olympic status, as well as yoga and Eastern martial arts, whose popularity has been boosted by the influence of neo-Buddhist religious movements. Lifestyle sports are based around the new objects consumption, like boats, bikes, or here replicas of medieval armor. Participants have a strong motivation to achieve deep affective experience. Performative nature of sport practice is really important for them. They appropriate special locations to be a character inside a narrative. Urban or rural spaces are decorations for something mysterious and spiritual, and lifestyle sports are focused on participants, not spectators. Endemic group for lifestyle sports is predominantly educated middle class, whose subcultural affiliation tends to be based around taste, alternative lifestyle groupings, fashion, and music preferences. At least Witten emphasizes individualistic nature of lifestyle sports. The body is used in non-aggressive ways, mostly without bodily contact, and it's not about HMP. So I think it's enough for today. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer them.